wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it, I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it, you know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic, keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me, I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this, freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus, living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it, go on and take your aim, yeah.
I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, yeah.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective, in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding a voice in control.
When we get to the FBI, we don't know who did the work. You heard that any of that information is redacted. We don't know who did the work. It's a giant secret. We know that by the time the FBI gets involved, the profile, the text file, that's a snip to use to try to identify somebody is more than twice as big when it gets to the FBI from Othram. We don't know how.
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What is going on, Hive? I hope everybody had a fantastic day. Oh yeah, we got the audio coming in loud and clear. I can tell you there's no better way to end the weekend other than sitting right here in the Hive with all of you guys. And man, I got to tell you, tonight's stream, we're gonna need it to be a good one, because I think tonight is going to build a lot of momentum when it comes to, like, how are we going to make a difference in this case? If that makes sense. I think it's past, it's well overdue that we need to do something about this. I know we've said that goes without being said. We need to try to fix this. And I have some ideas on how we could do that, how we could build some momentum, how we can string together a few really good streams building off of yesterday. As I said yesterday, besides calling Jeff H a bitch ass, I think what's important is that the Hive needs to really dial in the balance of, we can get in here, we can discuss anything and everything, but there needs to be a certain intensity behind what we're doing. And yesterday I was trying to kind of, set that intensity, because without that, this is just a hobby, and that's fine. This is fine if this is just a hobby for you. It's obviously, this is meant for people to come and have a place to talk and think out loud. Maybe if they don't have, family or friends that they could talk this way around, you can look forward to coming in here every night at 7 p.m. Central and do that with the Hive. But we've put so much time and effort into this damn Idaho 4 case that I think that there needs to be like a real push, a real movement. And I'm going to be getting into how I think we can do that this evening. Now, I want to say what's up to everybody. What's up, Susan? True Crime, how are you doing? 50 on 50. Yeah, I'm not gonna keep going in on that. I said what I said, and we'll leave it at that. What up, Scout? Good to see you. Molly, how are you doing? Wolf Angel, UFO Dog, Crime Tourist, Steven, Miss Governor Pincus, Bianca, Linda, how are you? UFO Dog's creeping in the basement. What's going on with Discord, Dawn? Terry Petaway, how are you doing? Haley Muckenfuss, favorite last name in the chat. Love saying that name. Muckenfuss. You could really Muckenfuss somebody, and I'm not trying to make fun of it. It's just like I don't know. I think it's fun to say. I'll leave that. I guess that's all I'm trying to really say. Elizabeth, how are you doing? Molly, Stone. Drew Bledsoe says, I will spend $100 in super chats, which, by the way, I do want to announce something. So, like I was saying, I had no idea that YouTube super chats took as much of, like, YouTube takes like damn near all of that. I had no idea. That's how little I've looked into it. That's how little I'm really concerned about it. But a lot of people in the Hive were saying, well, if they're going to donate, or if they feel, obligated to put a tip out there, again, I'm not ever asking for it. My mods have a link now that will open you up to this page, which is super nice. So it's preset with amounts. You can still do the super chats. That's fine. It's just now you just click that link. It syncs up with your YouTube profile, and it's really easy. It's the same thing as a super chat. It'll still pop up on screen. But I just wanted to let you guys know there was enough people that reached out about setting that up instead of giving, if it's not the government taking your money, it's YouTube at this point. So I just wanted to make sure that I announced that, as that is now available. So thank you to everybody that did, kind of push me to do that. I'm appreciative of it, and I'm grateful for it. So my mods will go ahead and drop that chat. Now, I was saying what's up to everybody, and my brain just kind of went scatterbrain, which is fine. ADD is a blessing and a curse. What's up, Jody? Brandon? Stone. Christ. What's up, Jules? Good to see you. Philly Special? She's all right. She's hanging in there. Got a little combative coming out of surgery, which was a little scary, but that happens with people that are older and that, but she's hanging in there. Thank you for asking. What's up, Terry? Angela, love the Hive. Absolutely. Momo's thinking. Susan. Simply Solo. Oh, no. Oh, no. Just kidding. It is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. What up, Jake? Good to see you. Jake Paul, you're a fellow cheesehead, right? What's up, Lori? Bohemian Growth, your back hurts today. Why? Thank you, Jody. I appreciate that. Jody's tuning in from North Carolina, watching with Mama Judy. Well, what up, Mama Judy? Hope you guys are having a great weekend, a relaxing Sunday evening. Sit back, relax, and let's get into it. So I kind of felt like booking with B right there. Let's get into it, or let's dive into it, whatever she says. But as you can see on the screen, I have drug empire exposed, right? And then busted. I obviously have Brian Koberger standing there with an FBI jacket and a red Solo cup, because what I'm going to explain tonight, and what I really want people to be able to wrap their heads around, is that there's one or two things, right? There's one or two things that is happening right now. Brian Koberger is either getting bent over the barrel and shown the 50 states as hard as you could possibly get bent over the barrel and shown the 50 states, or there's some sort of involvement going on, not guilt involvement, but there's some sort of involvement going on. It's one or the other, and it's not the guilt involvement either. And I'm going to walk you all through that. I know I've theorized on it, but I'm really starting to see these patterns start to emerge with what's happening in this case, what's happening in the media, some recent news stories that came out earlier this week that I have yet to talk about in that Pacific Northwest Highway. And if you guys saw the title of this live, you're going to know where I'm going with that. And I think what we are watching is a drug and trafficking network, like an empire. It's being exposed. This case ultimately exposed all of that. I started thinking about it. We're like, why is this case getting so much media attention? Like, what would a good reason be for a narrative to be hijacked and turned into a psyop? And we have to remember, the people that are doing this, the people that are instructing these news networks to run with these stories, I mean, clearly it's on a script. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. Mr. 414, Brews a pack win. Let me come drop off a bag of cash so YouTube and Uncle Sam get nothing. I know who's in charge. That's awesome. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. And so, as I was saying, you got to understand, these are very smart people at the top of the FBI, right? They might come off as dumbasses in the media, and they might do some stupid things. They're human. Let's not forget that. But if you were running some sort of psyop with the narrative, and let's say there's an operation going on, undercover operation, looking into the cartel, looking into the Aryan Knights, the Aryan Brotherhood, whatever is out there, all of them. This case benefits that operation. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Why would it benefit that operation? Well, it benefits the operation because look at how much shit we've learned. Idaho's a portal to hell. That Pacific Northwest Highway is terrifying. There's corruption all over the board. And so, it kind of like hit me today. I'm like, dude, it's actually helping it, because why would they want to expose that? Well, now think about how many people have been in the Hive and in the chat that have been saying, oh, I'm a local out there. It's terrible. It's terrible. These people are finally like, yes, it's bad. It's gotten worse. And now a lot of people know what's going on out there. And Mindy White, yes, this is exactly the direction that I'm going. This is a perfect comment to kind of segue into what we're going to be diving into this stream, which is, Mindy White had asked, Birdie, did you see Kathy's latest video showing how dozens of pages have been removed from Idaho versus Koberger. Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys understand there's not many reasons why you would do that, right? And I'm not trying to say that as if you guys can't figure that out yourself. It's just, you know, we've been known as the conspiracy theorists. We might as well start to add another tally mark on the conspiracy theorists and then the normies, right? Okay, we're starting to get a lot of tallies underneath the conspiracy theorists. You know, the people that aren't drinking the tap water. We're starting to get a lot of tallies built up in our column. We're gonna have a mercy rule with how many points we're putting up on these people, because it's remarkable. How many times can the conspiracy theorists be right? Yeah, Carol's like, are we really shocked at this point? No, we're not. We're not shocked. And LA Mike says, yeah, we're up to 42-7. We think different. Absolutely, Gamble. Do normies equal NPC? Yeah, it's synonymous, right? It's absolutely synonymous. Now, and I agree, Shoe Girl, you know, if they're not going to give us the information, then what else are we left to do except for theorizing? That's right. That is absolutely right. So, okay, let's get into it. One of the things that I like to do every now and again, keep you guys on your toes. Again, keeping the chat interactive. We talk about a lot of like heavy shit in the Hive, right? We're talking about quadruple murders. We're talking about, you know, just corruption. It's maddening. Okay, it's maddening. And sometimes you have to take a couple of seconds, especially in the start of the stream, you know, loosen up a little bit. Everybody right now, relax your face, unclench your jaw, let your shoulders drop. Everybody take a deep breath with me. Okay. We're going to stay relaxed, and we're going to loosen up a little bit, and then we're going to really get into it. We're going to make a plan on how we're going to expose the hell out of this and what's going on. So we're going to have a Hive Mind trigger tonight. Oh, what's up? T&T? Good to see you. We are doing yoga tonight. Yeah, it's deep breathing. I need to have a centering breath before I get started so I don't crash out on certain people in the chat. Yeah, it's Settle Down Sunday. That's right. So, Hive Mind trigger. We have, what's the wildest lie you've told as an adult? What's your corniest pickup line? What's the dumbest hill you'd die on? And what's the pettiest thing you've ever done to win an argument? That's right. And so let's go ahead. Let's spin this wheel. Number 1. What is the wildest lie that you've ever told as an adult? Nice and chilled. That's right, Joe, the British one. What's the wildest lie you've ever told as an adult? Oh, dear. Oh, Lord. NZ Jess says, oh, that is a pretty big lie. Santa comes down the chimney and leaves presents. It's going to be okay. What is this the wildest lie? You want me to go first? I want to see what a couple people say first. Simply Solo said, told my kids their faces would freeze when they kept making nasty faces. And they probably believed it too. Don't make me mildly beg. Hit that damn like button. That I just want to get along. That's so funny, actually. I swear I'm not drunk. River Bear Teacup. That's very wholesome. Respect. You don't lie. LA Mike's like, this isn't why I tuned in. Kids are fun, they said. Swampside Chick said, I didn't shoot that alligator. Christ. There's got to be a story behind that one. You look nice in that dress. DKM, now you have to tell us. Oh my God, Beck. This is a universal lie. The dome light being on in the car is illegal and you're going to get pulled over. Brandon said, I'm 6 feet tall. LA Mike says, I don't want no trouble. 50 on 50 says I need a lawyer. Oh, these are funny. Steven says, I've never smoked weed. 110% Idahoan. COVID was real. Not an NBC. I may or may not have keyed that car allegedly. Christ. Yeah, we listen and we don't judge is right, Kelly. Carol said, I told my son his eyes will light up if he told lies. UFO Dog said he told Birdie it was the 69th time in the Hive. I only drank 1 bottle of wine a day. That's hilarious. Oh, man, that's funny. One of the things that I do think is weird, just a quick side note, is you want to talk about a rabbit hole. You know how we have, like, obviously when you're a little kid, and if there's kids that are tuning in right now, here's a little bit of a warning, earmuffs. But you ever wonder about like the tooth fairy? Thanks, son. She walks in, she looks at me, she's like, what are you talking about? You know, I'm almost convinced that the tooth fairy at this point, just given the they're stealing everything about like our data and our DNA. I'm convinced at this point that the tooth fairy might have been a myth created to get us used to being rewarded for giving up our DNA willingly. We put our tooth underneath a pillow and somebody comes and takes it and we get paid for it. Does that sound familiar? Because it's kind of like the direction that we're going in, right? It's almost like grooming us to just give up our DNA for a price. And it kind of checks out. But I do wonder, when was the tooth fairy born? How old is the tooth fairy? True Crime says, all I know is that he owes me big. That's hilarious. That is deep, right? And yeah, that's probably just a random wild rabbit hole that I've gone down. But anyways, I like to keep you guys on your toes. The Hive Mind trigger, maybe it was a little bit lame. Who cares? We're just having fun. But now it's time to get down to business. And this is pretty interesting. So I have a couple of notes about what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. And we've all said, like, this feels like we're watching a movie, right? The ending is like being written in real time. Okay, we're seeing all this stuff play out. We're seeing documentaries. We're seeing changes in the court case summary where they're starting to get rid of and scrub the sheriff's return warrants. And why would you do that? Well, there's only a couple of reasons why you would do that. Okay. One is a redaction for ongoing investigations, meaning if a warrant ties to a broader or continuing investigation, courts sometimes scrub the return. That lists seized evidence. Okay. It's to protect uncharged targets, cooperating witnesses, or there's methods that are still in play. Okay. So that's huge. That's personally, thank you. That's personally what I believe is going on. The second one is judicial or prosecutorial discretion, meaning that judges or clerks can temporarily seal or redact returns at the request of prosecutors, particularly if sensitive data, meaning addresses, private communications, or financial accounts, is included, which we do know in this case that that's a reality as well. The summary might stay public while the underlying documents are sealed. That's why sometimes you'll just see placeholders in the docket, but no link. But it's weird. They're getting rid of those placeholders. The third one is just some, irregularities or retraction. In rarer cases, a return might be scrubbed because something about the warrant itself was ruled invalid. That's kind of just like a mistake. Okay. So I believe what we're seeing, and the reason why, is they're being redacted for ongoing investigations. I saw this story probably 3 or 4 days ago when I was prepping for my Friday morning show called The Sting. And I was going to talk about it, but I'm like, I think I'm going to actually save this for Sunday night. And so in Seattle, okay, we're talking the Pacific Northwest Highway. Okay, the FBI just tore down a massive hub in Seattle. 3,477 people died already this year along that same corridor that runs straight through Idaho, right past Pullman, straight through Moscow. And why I'm starting with this is that is not a coincidence, everybody. That's logistics. That is the reality of it. That's infrastructure. That's a network, whatever word you want to call it. And what's interesting is that a lot of people just think that this is a one and done clean win by the FBI. And but I don't think they just busted the cartels. What I'm getting at, like they tripped, they kind of tripped and fell into a system. Like if these murders were unrelated, okay, they just tripped into a system that's been operating in plain sight. An empire of drugs and trafficking and corruption and money and silence. And silence. And it's continuing, right? Documents are vanishing from the court case summary. We still have sealed affidavits, redacted warrants, digital trails, still don't know about. Every time we get close to connecting it back to Idaho, connecting it back to something other than Brian Koberger, they will change the subject. So I think it was Stone that said, hey, keep your head on a swivel for a false flag. Yeah, absolutely. They do that. They eat up the media cycle. They eat up the media cycle. They do it by design. And you'll notice when something is in the news and it's highly controversial, there's always another big event that takes the spotlight off of it. It's a playbook. It's just so I'm trying to find this comment I just saw from somebody that was really good. Where'd it go? LA Mike says, if a PSYOP is in play, staging a crime scene is totally legal. I don't know. I'm out of guesses. Well, that is true. I mean, I've referred to this a handful of times, but Scott Payne, who was undercover inside the Outlaws, when they would have murder for hire cases, like they'd take pictures. They'd make it look real. When they would go bust the person that put the hit out. If some dude's trying to put a hit out on his wife, they'd go to the wife and they'd say, look, this is your one chance. Like, we can help you, but you have to play ball. We're going to take some pictures. We're going to make it look real. And most of those times, the reason why they do that and why it's legal, as he explained, is a lot of these people will have very specific pictures of proof that they want. I want pictures of this tattoo on their back, or I want to see them, whatever. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's sick, but it's the reality of it. So the FBI is able to stage these photos. They're able to stage a crime scene. Okay. They're able to stage the crime scene. Oh, that's a little too dark. So they're able to stage the crime scene. And, however they have to make it look real, they can do. Simply Solo just hit the nail on the head. Yeah, it's always look over here, not over there. Pay attention. That's right. It's a result of Project Mockingbird. Deborah says facts. Fiji says they plant our news. Absolutely. So I say all this because there's so much going on in that area over the last 5 years that there's a pattern, everybody. There's a pattern, and that pattern has a common denominator of drug networks, of corruption, of silence, and of money, like what I was just saying. Okay. We have to force this truth into the light. That could be the benefit of how we use the momentum of this absolutely psychotically stupid narrative surrounding Brian Koberger being the lone wolf serial killer obsessed, killing these 4 innocent people because they're beautiful narrative. That's how, like, when someone's sprinting at you, instead of meeting them head on with force, you absorb them, you use their force against them. You know, you absorb the blow and then you roll on top of them and you deliver the knockout punch. Okay? Because this is so much bigger than the Idaho 4 case. I've said this. I know that I'm getting back on a soapbox in saying that. This is so much bigger than Brian Koberger. This is so much bigger than Moscow, Idaho. This is so much bigger than, you know, this case. There are so many things that if we don't at least challenge this, okay, we have to align our goals. And our goal a week and a half, 2 weeks ago was we're going to go back to the beginning, knowing what we know now. Well, as always, there's a whole bunch of other directions that we could go that make sense now, knowing what we do. But with that being said, we have to align on our goals of what are we trying to accomplish? Well, for me, what I would like to do, and what I think a lot of people in here, you know, have agreed with, and what we've discussed is we have to call this out so that we are aware of what is happening when it comes to IGG, when it comes to how headlines are manipulated, when it comes to believe the story, you don't need to see the evidence, when it comes to a well planned out, executed script, the second something happens, and if you go outside of the press release, you're crazy, you're victim shaming, you're victim blaming. No, we as a public deserve the truth. We deserve access to this stuff. We deserve transparency to this stuff. Okay? And what I am going to do, and what I'm going to talk through, is somebody had sent me a video of Pavarotti. Okay, it's just a 2-minute clip, and I've shown stuff of Pavs, you know, probably 3-4 times. This is one that I think he's right. I mean, I'm not saying that I've ever thought that he's wrong, but I'm saying I think he's right. We're at this point. I don't know if it's worth doing anything else other than what he is suggesting here. And I've been brainstorming the last couple of hours since I've seen this, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on those ideas. And real quick, if everybody could just take 10 seconds right now, hit the like button, press subscribe. If you're not, I go live every weeknight at 7 p.m. Central. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the Hive. This is a Contrarian Thinking live stream where we are here to call out the mainstream media bullshit. So if you're easily rattled or offended on behalf of others, it's not going to be the stream for you. However, if you like to look into things, maybe you're the conspiracy theorist in your friend group, you have found your people. And like I said, you know, I don't ever charge for the streams. I don't put anything behind a paywall. All that I do ask, hit that like button, press that hype button too. Apparently that hype button is a newer feature with YouTube that expands it to a wider audience. So I only say this because, and as uncomfortable as it is to say that, I'm really trying to work on it because I know there's more people out there that think like us, that are looking for a place like the Hive, and they could have the next best comment that leads to blowing a narrative into smithereens. Okay. And that's a good thing. That's what we're all working towards. We also have some merch that'll be up on birdiebombshell.com for probably only a week. I feel like I've been saying that now for about a month, but we're getting really close. I had a call with Dana this afternoon. It's super exciting. We got some great stuff coming. I would say by the end of the month, we should have that. Now, here's the video that I want to play. I want you guys to listen to what he's saying here. And actually, I'm going to turn the volume up just a smidge. So I think he's absolutely right. We are at this point. I don't know what else we could do if we're not doing this.
So my point to this is getting out of hand. And I mean, we need help. It's just plain and simple. We need help. And it's apparently not going to come from any type of public figure in our government. It's not going to come from the Attorney General. It's not going to come from Trump. It's not going to come from Bondi. It's not going to come from Patel. It's not going to come from anybody like that. So in this country, we have what's called the Constitution. We have the First Amendment. That's why I wanted to play that clip in the beginning. One of the key parts to our First Amendment, other than the freedom of speech, is freedom of the press. And the reason we have freedom of the press is because the press has the ability to expose things and put pressure that other entities cannot put. And the kind of pressure that the press can put on situations actually has, in a lot of cases, a much quicker reaction time to that pressure. Now, when I say freedom of the press and media putting pressure, obviously I'm not talking about, old Pav here on YouTube, because I could preach this stuff all day long and a lot of y'all are going to listen, but it's not going to go much further than that. I can see that now. And even other creators, us banding together is not going to have the impact that we need it to have as it relates to this subject. What we really need is we need to all come together, and we need to, in my humble opinion, focus in on some investigative journalist that actually is with a major news network that has a set on them, and we need to all reach out. We need to pick one, focus in, then we need to all reach out and hammer that person that we believe has integrity and have them actually look into this situation that we're talking about in this case.
Shit. So, okay. So I don't want to toot my own horn here, but one of the things that I've always excelled in doing is when I hear something like this and I see somebody like Pav and like many other creators, like many people here in the Hive, be very passionate about something, and they go and they put something out like this and they say, we need to all come together. We need to do this. I've always been very good at figuring out like a step-by-step plan. That's just the way that my brain works. Okay, I need to do A to get to B, then I need to do B to get to C, so on and so forth until we accomplish this. So I started thinking through it, and this doesn't have to be, what we do, but I do think that, we can all watch this, right? We can all watch this and we can say, yeah, that's great. We do need to do it. And everyone's like, but who? Who are we going to pick, right? I see people already that are naming some networks. Absolutely. Absolutely. I do think that we need to get a network. I think what we need before we do that is we need to have like an expert on standby. We need to have somebody with a ton of credibility go and kind of be like the front of this. So yes, we need the investigative journalist, but I think we need an expert that's working with these journalists, these people that are highly credible. Okay. And when I say expert, I mean, we have to keep this very simple. It has to be efficient. It has to be effective. So it's almost like we need to pick three things. What are three things that are absolutely the most damning, that are arguably proof? And I think it needs to be a combination of timeline, some document, and then it has to be the expert coming in on the victimology of this, the background, maybe an expert on, what's going on. Yes, we need a plan of action. Okay. And so, for example, okay, the theories are great. I love that. You guys know me. I love a good conspiracy. That'll never stop, ever. But we need, like one verified document, one airtight timeline that exposes this this procedure. That's just BS. It's a procedural crack that has to be done in a way and constructed in a way that they cannot spin it. Okay. For God's sakes, they've perverted this man's education for being a good student into a serial killer. They'll stop at nothing. Okay. They will stop at nothing. Brian Koberger becoming a vegan was apparently premeditation and murder because the guy wanted to get in shape. Okay. They have spun everything, you guys. It needs to be like the dots need to be connected. Okay. So again, this is going to be somewhat difficult to do because there's so many varying opinions on who did it, how was it done, why was it done. But I know for a fact, I mean, we've seen a bunch of them, but what is the one document? Let's brainstorm with the document. What is the one document that nobody can argue or spin away? And we can go there. Okay. So I don't know if it's a police report. I don't know if it's the DNA doubling in size. I don't know if it's a video clip that people can think of that's talking about a specific document. Yeah, it has to be someone that has nothing to lose. I know I did think about Ali Benevento. She would have been a great one. Yeah, nobody can be in the club. You guys, if you know, you know. Yes, I'm meaning like what document has like the most bang for its buck when it comes to that is so against anything that we've been told. We also need to find somebody who's extremely talented in storytelling and narrating. Someone that's divorced from politics, yes. The ISP info. And at the end of the day, Noel did just hit the nail on the head. The FBI needs to grow a pair. There it is. Top dog for you, Nicole. Or Noel. Jeez, not Nicole. Yes, exactly. It needs to be somebody that, okay, like, I'm going to be honest. I don't think that the person that we find to do this, I don't know if it has to be somebody like massive. You know, it's so funny that Philly Special said this, and I know I'm going to put this on screen, but I also think, people are saying they need to have a set. They need to have a set or something. I might disagree with that because then it becomes a giant production. There becomes funding, and that could be the goal. Thank you, Discord Don. I appreciate that. But this guy right here, people are gonna love it or hate him. And I'm just saying, when this dude was new on TikTok, I don't know if anybody else went more viral than he did for exposing stuff. And that was Ian Carroll prior to being signed with Candace when he did his BlackRock and Vanguard stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's past all of that or if this is something he would look into, but we also need somebody, when I say who is a very good narrator and storyteller, we need somebody who has the credibility and the reach. I don't know if the mainstream news will ever touch this, guys. So I, while saying we need to reach out to a major investigative journalist and get it on the news, I see the point because it's going to get into normies' heads. Yes. But I think that there has to be this still a little bit of an organic groundswell behind somebody. Taylor motherfucking Swift. She could write a song about it. I feel like, do you guys think T Swift is a guilter? Does she kind of come off that way? I don't know. The PCA, it might be the move. It really might. Because Brandon, you're right. The mainstream media is not going to touch this. I don't believe that they will. Kim Kardashian. Yeah. Okay. You know what? This might just be the person. We need a guy as crazy as Charlie Sheen, who's just banging 7-gram rocks, got tiger blood. That's what we need. Charlie Sheen might be the move, everybody. We need somebody that's absolutely out of their mind, crazy, that makes sense. Because no sane person is going to touch this. We're all a little bit crazy. Let's be honest. Tim Dillon. Winning. Exactly, Chevy Metal. Kind of like the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. Yes, dude. That's what we need. We need almost like a true dude. That's maybe the Hive's contribution to this. Because I think that there's a few channels that can really kind of team up with Pav on this. I think Pav's right. I think he's absolutely right. It is continuing to do this. Excuse me, is pointless. If there's not a massive name pushing this, okay, because it's going to trickle out. It's going to get lost in the algorithm. Okay, we need somebody that comes in with the haymaker. We need somebody that's coming in and dropping nukes on this. That's what we need. You know what I'm saying? Well, and so Made in Art says, Birdie, it cannot become a spectacle. We need a professional. While, yes, that's logical. Absolutely. I don't get me wrong. We need a professional. I was joking about Charlie Sheen. Okay, let me just clarify. If you guys couldn't tell, I was absolutely joking about Charlie Sheen. Okay. I'm just trying to say that we need somebody big enough to make a splash. We need somebody who's entertaining. Okay, we don't need some boring ass person talking facts of the case. That's at the end of the day, guys, nobody's going to watch that. That's not going to wake people up. Like, we have to play the same game that the news did. Do you know what I'm saying? We need somebody that's gonna be like, whoa, what are they? Is that person really talking about the Idaho 4? That's what we need. That's an interesting suggestion. I just yeah, Nick Fuentes could shake it up. Christ, I bet he could. I see a lot of people saying Rogan, all these people. I think we need like an in-between person. You know what I mean? Maybe if Rogan, maybe whoever does it goes on Rogan and tells it. Absolutely. even if Rogan just played a video on the platform, there's a couple people that if they just play the video, dude, I just saw actually somebody that this is interesting who everyone's saying. I was like originally saying we need to talk documents. Everyone's like, no, we need to have this person do it. Donna speaks truth. Okay. This is interesting. People are, again, going to love or hate this one. You think of Jelly Roll, he knows the system, right? Everybody respects how he has empathy for people that have gone through a bunch of trouble and have had it tough and have turned their light around or their life around. You know, yeah, people say he's in their club. ESF says it's not a journalism outfit, but wonder if they might help with legal. Center for Constitutional Rights works on constitutional and human rights issues through litigation, advocacy, and education. Can I ask you guys something? This is, again, I know there's disagreement when I say this stuff, what I'm about to say. And this is a great point, ESF. It's absolutely true. But I just feel like the rules of engagement are off the table. Like, we have to do something. This needs to be like a guerrilla marketing approach that is tactical, that is sound, that is rock solid. We are literally, it's like we're trying to take down an F-16 with throwing rocks at it. That's what we're doing right now. Okay? Like, we are going up against the most powerful people. And there needs to be, like I said, this oomph behind it, like something that really makes a big splash. Now, we're obviously not going to be able to decide here. I don't think we will. And, you know, we can try. We'll do a little bit of a poll here. I think collectively, let's go big. Let's have a name. Let's everybody type a name. When we start seeing and if you type a name and it's different, as people continue to type, we'll see if we can get people to start typing the same name or a lot of the same name. And then what we can do, you know, we have 700 and almost 800 people in here right now. What we can do is at the end of the live, we'll go on their most recent video and we will comment. We'll let them know they need to look into this all at once. Okay, that's how we're going to do it. But we need to figure that name out. Again, I'm just kind of surprised with a lot of the names that people are saying. These people are so obviously bought and paid for, guys. I see so much Candace, guys. I don't know. I feel like Candace is like just all in on this Charlie Kirk thing right now. Whoever it is can't be a divisive person, okay? Theo Vaughn, maybe. Oh, Amanda B, you're so nice. Thank you. I'll put on a suit and tie. Clean up nicely. I'll go sit my ass on a set in a studio. Have my note cards ready to go. I almost wonder if we're thinking too complex about this. I almost wonder if what we need to do is a debate. What if we went after the head of the snake instead? Like what if we went after one of the biggest guilters that's got the platform and we start telling them they need to debate? Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I love you guys. I'm disappointed in some of these names that you guys are out here saying with just they're so obviously in the club. It's just wild. you know, I think too, it doesn't need to be some big time celebrity necessarily. I mean, I'm trying to think through other documentaries that have been done that really woke a lot of people up. Trying to find a name for somebody that could just really put a lot of pressure on this. And then we have a very solid timeline. We have a document, I guess, because there's no shortage. You got to understand, there's no shortage of stuff to dive into. It's just we have to find the most perfect person to deliver the most powerful 3 to 5 things that if you hear them, you absolutely have to reopen this case. And if that doesn't happen, well, then we start to look at the pattern and the common denominator of what's been going on in the Pacific Northwest for the last 5 years. How many drug busts have there been? All along that same corridor. Yeah. Yeah. Is it me? No. I would do it, but I think we need to have somebody. Alex Jones. Who said Kaepernick? God damn it, Brandon. Oh, Christ. We could recruit Ashley Banfield. We could pay her off. We all know that she could be bought and paid for. We have $10, Ashley. The don't F with the cats lady. Yeah, this person has to have the balls to do it. Aaron Rodgers, Detective Maury says. Tom McDonald. That's the singer guy, right? Matt Taibbi. That was the dude that did all the Twitter files. No, I think they were joking back. I just can't believe some of these names. Dude, even just that, even just getting on a platform or a podcast to just explain it and be like, look, I understand that the Idaho 4 is one of the most divisive recent true crime cases in American history. There has never been such a narrative push. And I would ask everybody that if they're listening to this for the next 30 minutes, try to listen to what has now come out about the case. Try to keep in the front of your mind that what Dateline told you, what Amazon told you, what James Patterson's book told you is not reality. Okay. This is all hearsay. When you go and you look in the court documents, you see a much, much different story. Now, that story is really not the focal point. It's the procedure that needs to be the focus. Because if you can expose the procedure, that's how you get people off, everybody. Look at any high profile case. They go after the procedure. They discredit and they go after the credibility of these police officers. They go after the credibility of the prosecutors. They go after the credibility of their intent behind the narrative. Why are they saying certain things? Where did this come from? Was that made up? It completely shaped the entire case. And I'm not saying that there needs to be like a full-on reenactment, but I'd be curious, if the timeline is possible. You guys are so funny. They're also these people also have to be like probably a reasonable, attainable one. And I love how Pov's like, we need an investigative journalist. And we're like, somebody get Jelly Roll's wife. Kim Kardashian, Taylor Swift. If Bob is watching this, he's probably like, God damn it, Birdie. You know what? It might benefit it to actually have somebody who's equally as divisive as the case. Because I don't think you're going to find somebody who's playing it safe that would ever be willing to touch this case on a massive level. We have to remember the human factor. Nobody that doesn't have a few screws loose is going to touch this case. The Tate brothers, dude, you want to go deep, you go Tate brothers, Dan Bilzerian, like Aiden Ross, all those guys, Kai Cenat, get those other streamers doing it, talking about them, like, you know what I mean? Who knows? But I'm just saying there has to be somebody that they're going to turn their head and go, why the hell are they talking about the 804? And then that's what gets people to listen. But if you just have somebody that goes on, you know, and just they have Keith and his, I can't even look at Keith, okay, from Dateline. Can't even look at him. Nobody's gonna watch that. And that's not attention grabbing. Joe Biden. Detective Maury said the Island Boys. This quickly now turned into just kind of a funny thing, so we might as well lean into it. Turtle Boy. Maybe we need like one of those chicks. I saw this fly by a couple times. We need like one of those chicks that's like the get ready with me makeup true crime. That's what we need. Somebody who like, or who has the biggest normie following? Robin says, I give up. Who's got the biggest normie following? Because I also wonder if there's a benefit to that, guys. Because if you go after somebody that we're saying, a lot of their fan base, a lot of their people, they probably would think like us, like, well, yeah. You know what I mean? And it's also hilarious if Turtle Boy is a guilter. Is that true? Is that really true? I did not know that. Now, hang on. That is not a bad idea. That might be, and I say that, right? If we're gonna lean into what the Hive stands for, you know, we could possibly have, you know, a civil conversation. Just be like, dude, can we just talk to you? Can we just talk to you for a second? Can we just show you some stuff? Swift has the most influence with young people. That's true. Thank you guys for the super chats. Taylor Hackinson says Ashley Flowers from Crime Junkies. Is that? See, I don't ever listen. I think my wife listens to that show in the car sometimes when we drive up north. That's where they just kind of narrate the stories and they kind of talk about. Is that two of the? It's the two girls. Yes. Let's see what ChatGPT would say on who we should pick. All right. Give me a list of the top 10 people with massive platforms of normies that have a ton of power that would be willing to take up the Idaho 4 case and talk about the fact that Brian Kohberger's investigation is an F at best, and to start to advocate for people to wake up to this and how we need to understand what this would mean for the rest of us. Give yourself a prompt to make this the best list. All right, let's see what this says. Guys, some of these names, I'm just like, I'm shocked. Someone said Oprah or Paris Hilton. I mean, I guess they do have the normie following, but it's like, do you think, I mean, they are the, I don't know. I would just be misinformation. How well do you know them? Okay, so here's the list that ChatGPT came up with. Brian Tyler Cohen, and I don't, it's a podcast host, political commentator, liberal centrist side. His audience expects political oversight, justice's broken narratives. A wrongly handled investigation is a story of institutional failure. I don't disagree with that being the pitch. Glenn Greenwald, Kara Swisher, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Mike Rowe, Nancy Gray. Jesus Christ, Charlie Kirk's on this list. ChatGPT is drunk. That's crazy. See, now let's go down this road. Isn't Charlie Kirk dead? See, why is it saying that? Did you guys just see that? Why is it saying that? Yeah, ChatGPT says, no, it's a rumor without basis. Charlie Kirk was in fact assassinated on September 10th, 2025 while speaking. So your earlier idea of recruiting... Wait, what? I said, isn't Charlie Kirk dead? So is he dead or alive? What is it? That's weird. It's giving me both answers. Oh. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, why would you ever give me a list of dead people? No, I don't want any system part of the club influenced by MSM propaganda people. That was really weird. Michael Jordan. Christ. But, it's just like, I think too, real quick before I read these off, is when I saw that video of the clip that I played earlier, there was a part of me that was like, it's just a very like sobering, humbling recognition. Like there's so much time, there's so much effort that's put into this, and we care a lot about it. We're screaming it from the rooftops, and it doesn't matter because of the size of the platform, right? I mean, it's very like humbling. And then now look at how many names we've said. Look at how many names we've said that we think these people would probably do it. My question, just like with why is there not a line of defense experts or other experts out the door of that prison willing to help Brian Koberger out? How is there not one giant platform person that has talked about this, really? Big Red, thank you for the super chat. My son had a horrible accident. He split his brain in half. It was a huge deal. His dad got Jelly Roll to call him. I have that connect possibly. Man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that accident with your son. That sounds awful. I mean, Jelly Roll is probably it's just tough because then you start saying like, oh no, he's in the club, but it's also like, shit, you know, we got to try anything at this point. You know what I mean? Kid Rock. So this list, here's the names it says. Sean Atwood is another one. Yeah, we have to play their game. We have to play their game. Like who does it? Like who does it matters to an extent, right? We could say it can't be somebody political, it can't be somebody divisive, but then again, that leaves what? That leaves something that, if anything, we want people to spark a massive debate, guys. Do you know what I mean? We want somebody to spark a controversial, fiery debate. The algorithm loves debates. Right? I truly think that might have to be the move. So it says, here's the list that ChatGPT said now. It said Rogan, Russell Brand, Brett Weinstein. Okay, so here's some okay, so we got Abby Martin, Aaron Parnas. Dude, ChatGPT sucks tonight. Jeez. Okay. So clearly, we're not going to be able to pick a name tonight. Okay. But if you go, see, I don't think it's possible to, you know, like somebody at Times, the Post, all that. I don't even think that they would do it. Somebody who's got a big set like that. There's got to be somebody that everybody can agree on. Yeah. I mean, if Pop's serious about doing that, I'm right here, dude. More than happy to help you out. Like organize. Like this is only going to happen if you get organized. And again, I'm not doing this to free Brian Koberger. Okay. That would be a side effect of doing this. What I'm trying to do and what we are trying to do is to expose the truth, expose the dirty system. Now, here's the only thing that if this doesn't work, the only thing that would be left on the table at that point is that this is an operation and Brian Koberger works for the FBI. Okay. Type of 1, if you guys, who here thinks Brian Koberger's at this point, at least, maybe not initially, but who thinks that at this point, Brian Koberger cooperated with the feds, played a public-facing role? Type of 1. Because I'm starting to believe that now that they're getting rid of shit on the court case summary about, you know, the search warrants being returned by the sheriff, or the sheriff return warrants. I mean, guys, it's an ongoing investigation. I mean, look at all this. And if he's not a Fed, then what is going on? This is because, guys, I'm telling you, this is past the point of a legitimate court case. The truth is not going to come out of the court system, is my opinion. Obviously, people can disagree with that. I don't believe that the truth is going to come from the court system. I believe that, like I was saying yesterday, the currency for exposing this and the currency for justice, the currency for not falling victim to this, because the next time they're not even going to need to use a shitty cover story. Okay. That currency is people like us not shutting up about the bigger picture. Yes, Beck, if he's not, I mean, we are so unbelievably like done. You know what I mean? Yeah. Kimberly says, nope, definitely will not. ESF says he had to get this case out of Idahopeless. Idahopeless. Dude, that's a great theme. I'm stealing that, ESF. Idahopeless. I think IGG is a huge constitutional issue. Yeah. Wade Bird says more perfect union. PsyOp Life 25 says they're burying their tracks in our faces because they feel, or they can, pretty much. Mindy says truth can't come from the court system because it's not set up that way. Tracy says there's way too many secrets. Yeah, so it's Andrea, I shit zoo not, says, I have heard that Jack Showalter unalived them, but he is mega protected. I mean, guys. Oh. Again, I'm not saying that I disagree with this. This is what the Hive's for. It's to debate this. I know there's a lot of people that feel that way. Jack Showalter, what is he being mega protected from? What is Jack Showalter? I mean, guys, they take down people with huge names. They've taken down people that are like massive. So it's just like, again, I'm not saying that he can't be connected to really rich and powerful people, but like, it's just really surprising to me that with the FBI's involvement and the level and the ceiling and the redacting, that this would be because Jack Showalter or somebody that he's close to would be national security. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't like, I get that somebody can be absolutely mega protected and be protected against like scrutiny, right? They might have somebody that can protect them from the scrutiny in the media. But when national security is referenced, like, what would that be? Yeah, how far will we go and believe a story without seeing evidence is right. Fiji says, was Idaho 4 a test for Charlie Kirk? Who knows? Yeah, Suze says informant undercover. Carol says the courts have proven that they've lied and lied. Lulu says he's not a Fed. O.J. Simpson. See, I agree with this. That's what I think that if we're going to go with that thought, what Blue Rain 60 just said is I don't get the purpose. What would it be of them carrying on this charade to the point that if he was a Fed, it's not making any sense to me. And I think the truth is probably much stranger than fiction. Blue Rain 60. I would bet, guys. I'm still under the belief that there is a massive chance that what happened, it is nothing that's even been said yet. Do you guys know what I'm saying? I think there's still a possibility that what happened at King Road is nothing that we would expect. And we've talked about a lot of shit, but I do think there is a chance that what happened at King Road is it's just, what if the entire story is constructed to cover a certain narrative? Yeah, I mean, Holly, you're not wrong. Holly said this can just be a psyop to teach us how to fight against corruption. Then that would be a Q operation. Quote, show the people. Sometimes you have to show the people that Israel is last. Charlie Kirk psyop. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. The Q thing. I mean, you guys know how my brain is. There's a lot of shit that's just like, how is that a coincidence? I swear, somebody pointed out. I showed it on stream. And if you're into the Q thing, it's very divisive. People have said Q is a Fed, Q is exposed, Q is not real, Q is this person, Q is that person. Okay. It's exactly what, a PSYOP would do. I get all that. I absolutely get all that. I can wrap my head around all of them. But somebody in the Hive did have one or two screenshots about, if you believe that, like the Q drops lining up with something with the Koberger case, like a Delta. Do you guys remember who sent that? And whatever, Q is, it's been out, it's been around, it was interesting. It's certainly, I think it's impressive, whoever did it, whether it's a PSYOP, whether they're feds, whatever it is. I mean, it worked. Whatever they were trying to get people's attention on, they definitely did that. Right, that's kind of what I mean. Max says Q was designed to cause chaos. Yeah, but there's also a lot of So Jennifer said the guy that created Q is a nobody weirdo. He was outed long ago. Are you referring to like that HBO documentary? Because I heard a lot of stuff about that too. That was very like. I've also seen people come out and say that was not really the guy. So I don't know. Detective Mallory says, take off your tinfoil panties. Now, soon coming to the Hive Mind merch store, tinfoil panties, everybody. Detective Mallory is that's his signature design. But he says plenty of lies, but not this elaborate conspiracy. Dry Cider says, this is stupid. Have a good night. Well, I hope you have a good night too, Dry Ciders. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. I mean, guys, like, let's be honest. Pav is right. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're not going to shut up about it, but it's like, what are we going to do? We're just running in circles. We're saying it was this. We're saying it was that. I mean, guys, I love to do that. I love to think through stuff. We love to theorize. But it's like, just tell us either this is an operation, show us the evidence, because it's extremely concerning. That's all we're saying. This is just extremely concerning. Who said that I'm controlled opposition? Was that a comment? I would really love to highlight that one and find out who said that. Yeah, the chat is off the chain tonight. Cat's Mojo says the narrative they put out there is a cover for something bigger going on that we cannot know about. And Brian is a patsy. He's where he's supposed to be at this time. Somebody who's got a theory that no one said yet too. Let's just rip tarps off. Somebody say a theory, a theory that we've not heard yet. Ash is activism. That's funny. Brandon says, I'm getting triggered by the pressure of the question. Well, I don't know, Brandon. Give us your best theory. I want to hear Detective Bowery's theory. ESF says you got to look at Green and former 3-letter agency head via Pepper Hamilton. No way he was going to let his frat look bad. Maybe there's a clue with the weird. Well, the University of Phoenix and that timing of that is odd. Design Rhythm says crypto crash. It's a rabbit hole. Christopher Myrick says quantum being used to excel all tech in the case. Holly Meredith says Kaylee was kidnapped by her own family. Robin said the reptiles did it just to make us squirm. Drew Bledsoe, thank you for the super chat. Says it wasn't the Idaho 4, it was only Idaho 3. Nobody's NBA says, bro, there's so much political shit happening right now that we are distracted. We can't see in front of our eyes that we have government intel departments doing whatever they want unchecked. Standing ovation. If I didn't rip the mic out of the headphones out of the mic, I would stand up. Absolutely. Well said. Top dog. Jody says it was a alien abduction. Susie Mack says the U of I just wanted the house out of there. Luna W says that the Delphi murder is connected. Eric Gowerperp. Scott Metalhead says there could be some connection between BK and BF. There was a lot of rumors about that in the beginning, wasn't there? This is my favorite part of these streams, is when we just get to do this and hang out like this. Heather says Hunter was jealous his brother was banging his ex. Jesus. Aggie says reiterate 2 crime scenes. I agree. Suze says just imagine if Brian was your family member or you. Mel's Bells. A lot of separate things all happening at once. Absolutely. I mean, dude, what if the girls are actually like undercover agents? Has anybody heard that theory before? That the girls were all cops? Or Kaylee was, at least. Mindy Stoda says the government was created to cause chaos. They've been hoodwinking us since the birth certificate, pledging our babies for labor before they were born, making us obtain licenses to transport our body. That is my type of comment, Mindy. That is my type of comment. Amen to that. Misinformation says I posted about reptilians in Idaho in Discord. It's real. I'll have to go check that out. I did not see that. Angie says Brian was simply buying stuff from Molly and was drug into it. He was the one who sped out when she told him he was having no part of it. I don't even think that was Brian's car, but it could be that simple. Fiji says smut films connected to cartel, AK laundering, frats, college. Yeah, but like what's one that we haven't heard? Jody, the aliens did it. Max says, I don't think it's that deep. Definitely more superficial. I just think BK was a convenient fall guy. Lazy investigation. Ellie overlooked a serious investigation. See, God, Mac, you know what? At this point, I hope it's not that. Do you know what I mean? I hope that it's not just that. That would be the most terrifying reality, is that if the Idaho 4 was really as simple as Brian Koberger being a convenient fall guy, and there was a lazy investigation that did all this. Man, it just seems like there's so many players and too many people involved. But it could be, right? Kimberly says shape-shifting lizard people. ESF, you got some good comments tonight. Did KC poke into trafficking? Check out a case involving the relative of a potential perp. Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Detective Mowry says Brian Koberger was documenting all the steps of the real killers as part of an unsanctioned doctoral thesis. Yeah, SG finally did kind of back off a little bit. Marianne 828 says we are the movie. Chevy Metal says everything is a distraction from the elite taking our freedoms away. I agree. Brandon says valuable real estate. Delphi connected, yes. Christopher Myrick says that. There's a couple of people in here tonight that are saying Delphi is connected. Ginger B says Dylan is FBI and was undercover, and Brian Koberger was part of her team. They were in a safe house and it got hit and had to create a narrative to cover. Wow. Wolfpack says the drug dealers came to the house to sell a huge amount of drugs, and the girls actually robbed them when they showed up. Who knows? Drew said Hunter was jealous. So does misinformation. River Bear D Cup says Dylan hired Brian to do it. Kristen and the organ harvesting theory. Absolutely. I've heard that. Wayne says it was Damien. He's upped his game. Ethan's ex, she hated Xana and immediately went on vacation, then moved to Colorado after, is what Charlotte says. Man, it's so... See, guys, think about this. There's no shortage of comments for me to put up on the screen. This doesn't make any sense. Nobody's going to be able to figure this out. Seriously, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to figure this out. If they don't tell us, do you think we'll ever figure it out? Genuine question, 1 or 2. Yes for 1, 2 for no. If the authorities, which again, we're going to assume for this question that they could tell us, but do you think we'd be able to figure it out? I don't think we would. There's some ones in here. I know it's disheartening. I would probably vote too. I don't think we would. Guys, there's so much stuff that's out and nothing tells us what happened. NBCZ Network, explain this. They say maybe the forerunners were MKXE. Can you explain that? That's interesting. What does that mean? Yeah, Jennifer, I agree. They're withholding way too much. Yeah, Kimberly, top dog. Because are we going to believe what they tell us anyway? Great rebuttal. I agree. It's a great rebuttal to that question. Heather says there's too many possibilities. Lulu says the coach's wife. Amanda B from West Virginia says, I have faith we can figure it out. Ellie says the Hive is always making Birdie be the alpha. Woody says there would need to be a leak to point us in the right direction. Well, there's been leaks, but they've been able to spin it into just wild, ridiculous stuff. However, maybe we can get a mole inside and we can figure it out. Arizona says we need the evidence that we have a right to. Yeah, Heather, literally everybody apparently had a motive to unalive these people, right? Everybody had a motive but Brian. All right. Take my centering breath. Just kidding. Okay. Jeff H says, one theory is that Brian went to school to study about being the good guy, but couldn't push away his desire to be the bad guy. When you know both sides, you can kind of choose which you want to be. If you're going the serial killer route, yes. I just don't think that Brian Koberger looks like a serial killer or went that route. Elizabeth says the steroids angle. Angel Tiger X says Brian's research questions. The perps who responded to him did it. And that's the alleged connection. Oh, I see. That's what they meant. Chrissy said the forerunners at the Banfield. Yeah, Robin, that's the other part too. So Robin said, we could get some big name person, but the fact is that the government is not going to cave on this. Oh, I did? I apologize. Thank you to Amanda B and the UFO dog for the tips as well. Apologize that I missed those. Hurdy-gurdy says the government wouldn't have a choice if the people didn't care either. So Heather says, wait, what if Maddie... Dude. Hold on. Are you guys seeing the comment on this screen? You want to talk about like Awesome's Razor, whatever the hell I can never pronounce it. You guys, Heather. Am I the only one that's never thought of this? Why am I misremembering? Have we ever actually talked about this? So Heather said, what if Maddie, Xana, Kaylee, and Ethan ran? What if they were the ones that were on the Banfield that you see them running behind? So that's right around the time that they're saying this is going on. So, okay, so Heather is saying that the four Banfield runners were actually Xana, Kaylee, Maddie, and Ethan running. I know that's what you guys have been saying. I'm just now putting it together in this chat that that's what you meant by they were the runners. Simply Solo says the runners were identified. Were they? Or were we just told they were identified? Running to the witness protection. Man. That could be why Dylan was so confused and didn't know who was in the house. She was asking if Maddie and Kaylee were still upstairs. You think there was more than 4 people that were caught running on the? I thought there was 4 when it was slowed down, Terry. Unless there's, I don't know. It did look like 4. Well, that Rumble with CJ says they were silently running. Well, again, that's what I mean, guys. What time do we see the Banfield runners at? What time did we see them at? There was also a blonde running in the footage the opposite direction than the others. Oh, you were just saying the grub truck kids were runners, the clothing matched them. I don't even know of an angle where you could see the clothing that could match. Isn't it just like shadowy figures in the background that you see for like a millisecond? They were just mildly, silently running. Stone says, what if they were chasing Murphy? Right, that's what you would have thought, Kimberly, is that it was actually the murderers that were running. Yeah, that's a. So Psyop says the 112 noise, that thump, was Kaylee being pew-pewed and falling down the stairs. Let's go watch that Banfield runner footage, huh? Maybe we can see something now looking at it through that light. Does anybody know of a creator that has a really good angle of that footage? Not Lamey Jamie. Thank you for the super chat. Says we have no proof there was a single body, let alone 4. I'm just trying to pull this up. All right. Not Lamey Jamie, thank you again. What the narrative isn't for us, it's for someone bigger. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. So, okay. Who did you guys say has a good one? Huda? It's not popping up. Yeah, thank you, MBCZ Network, for the comment. I mean, that's a great point out. Well, let's just see if this is anything.
1, 2, 3, 4. Almost as 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost as though they're walking in single file.
I got to refresh it. Sorry.
1, 2.
Okay. Let me, I'm going to record this and then I can put it into Canva. Thank you so much, Dawn. Director Borgman abducted in plain sight. Girl in the picture, sins of her mother. That could be a good, see, like somebody who's actually like put together an investigative series before. Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to screen record this.
1, 2, 3, 4. Almost as though they're walking in single file. Out at night at 3 o'clock in the morning, actually closer to 3:12 in the morning. And as you watch those four figures, remember, police say the murders happened between 3 and 4 in the morning. Did those people see something? Who are they? Have police tracked them down, asked them any questions, ruled them out? And again,
All right, let me just save this. And I will put it into Canva so that we can play around with it and see if we can get a filter on it quick. Sky Blue, thank you. Sky Blue, thank you. We have to organize putting our findings with links to references all in one place. This needs more discussion. Absolutely. All right, let's get Banfield off this damn screen. All right. Let's get to work here. Okay, I'm going to screen record this. All righty, let me put this full screen here. Okay, so I have it muted, so you guys aren't hearing anything. Why isn't it playing? Come on. Why is this going like this right now? Thank you so much, Kim Young. Says, I hate giving YouTube money, but here's all you have come so far since TikTok. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Absolutely. Come a long way since the TikTok days. It's awesome. It's exciting. It's fun. Okay. This being played in half speed is not the move. All right, let's see if we can get the color settings right on this. Why is this? Dude, all right, this is a joke.
In the morning. And as you watch those four figures at 3 o'clock,
I just want to try to get one good look at it.
out at night at 3 o'clock in the morning, actually closer to 3:12 in the morning. And as you watch those four figures, remember, police say the murders happened between
Guys, you can't see anything. Jeez. I mean,
3.
wow. I mean, one does look like a girl, one looks taller. You know, what we could do is try this. I haven't done this in a long time. And that is can you recreate this photo so that we can clearly see how many people are walking in the circled area? All right, let's see this. Yeah, somebody was saying that this looks like one of the girls at the grub truck carrying a big white bag with long hair. Yeah, I couldn't find Huda's video. Yeah, okay. I saw something like, dude, it looks like there's like a fog or a haze that's, I don't know. It's just the timing of the light turning on and all that happening. And people are like, oh, well, he was just doing that because he couldn't pull the pen out. It's like, well, dude, I don't know. You would know if if you shine a light on a body cam, you wouldn't be able to see anything. Yeah. The heat detection, the thermal. All right, let's see what this says. Come on. Load up. Well, it's definitely showing a female. It's almost done loading. Sometimes this ChatGPT images take so long. Mindy said ChatGPT is worthless. It couldn't even change the color on my seal from red to green earlier. All right, guys. While this is waiting to load, swipe down on the chat and just press that like button. We're at 480. Let's try to get to 550. And then if you guys afterwards could press that hype button, I'd appreciate that. Dude, why is this taking so long? Jesus. This is a joke. Okay, so that shows 2 people. Let's see if I can get a better screenshot.
And 4.
I mean, it's definitely showing a male and a female twice now. I mean, it does look like it. Thank you guys for going to like it. Yeah, I agree, Awesome Town. It's like it's always purposely blurred. Yeah, Birdie, that looks like Brian. Yeah, the hype button is this thing that YouTube has where you can do, it's free, and it's just essentially what it does is it's like a super like, I guess. But that helps it as well, especially when the video just gets posted. So when I do the quick cuts, if you tune in for those. Jennifer, you got this playing on 4 devices, top dog. See, this is interesting now. Yeah, sometimes the hype button shows up, other times it doesn't. See, this is shitty. This isn't accurate. But guys, I'm telling you, nothing makes sense without a drug angle in this case. At a 40,000 foot view, a giant network on that Pacific Northwest Highway has to be involved. Otherwise, I don't see how national security comes into play. There has to be something bigger. And that's what I don't understand, how people can't wrap their head around it. Thank you so much, Blue Rain 60. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. There has to be. Yeah, Mel's Bells, I talk mad shit to ChatGPT as well. Simply Solo, are you in the Discord? Should post it in there underneath the investigation photos and videos thread if you are. Yeah. Operation GCD subscribed. Nice. Welcome to the Hive officially. Yeah, same thing with the Witsec and the Marshals. Sue subscribed. Let's go. We're on a roll. You guys don't even know how excited I was when I figured out how to do that and put that up there. That took me longer than I even want to admit of how long that took me to create that overlay that routes through Stream Elements into OBS, into StreamYard, onto YouTube. It's just ridiculous how hard it is to have that automatically pop up, because I don't ever want to miss a super chat. If you guys are kind enough to send me one or to, ask a question with it. And that's why I'm like, I don't want to have it, just fly by and I miss it. So that's why I did that. But oh, I'm so glad that's working. But yeah, guys, I mean, so going back to kind of like what we started this stream with, talking about with Pavarotti saying how we need to find somebody to, really take this thing by the horns. That's got a big platform. I mean, guys, like what do you think is going to, let's say best case scenario that happens? I'm not being a Debbie Downer. You guys know me. I want people to wake up to this as much as anybody. I don't know how we get the government to agree to release it, though. Mr. Beast, Aaron Rodgers, ACLU. Lisa said I sent a pic in Discord that showed the map of what the drug cartel from here to there. This is the ambush was. I'll have to check that out, Lisa. Thank you, Brian Biggs. Brian, was your nickname in high school, or like do your buddies call you Biggs? I feel like that's if that's your last name, that's like the perfect last name for a nickname. Some of these comments in the chat are hilarious that I just saw fly by. ESF says not a retrial, but charged dismissed based on OCD and being on the spectrum. God, I mean, ESF. So clearly, you seem to know a lot about like the court system and the process. Like, we've looked into it. I just don't see how that would ever start to be the case. This case doesn't seem to be following any of the normal court proceedings. Yeah, that's a good idea. Daily Twin Flame says we need somebody outside of the U.S. that can't be touched by the U.S. government to do the expose. Well, let's be honest though. If the U.S. government wants to get you, they'll get you. Brandon said, respects my middle name. Going back to what's the biggest lie you've ever told? A lot of people are asking that. I mean, they leaked that video of all things they could leak. They've been really trying hard to convince us Brian Koberger is actually in prison, right, everybody? Yeah, Mr. Smixon says we need Candace. I just feel like she's so deep on the CK case. Maybe, though. Ooh. Anonymous. Raina says anonymous. Yeah, that's a valid point. Exactly right. Mel's Bell says BK is just mildly in prison. True Crime X says Brian took the plea so they can investigate the real perps. It's that simple. Pat Ward says it's the trafficking up through the Canadian border. That's why Trump is coming down on them. And the Canadians are pushing back so hard. It's HT and organ harvesting to the Chinese. Man, it's so cool seeing everybody kind of just put their thoughts into the chat like that. Like, bless me. I accidentally created that habit of when I sneeze, I now say bless me when I'm by myself, and I don't know why. I don't know how it started. I don't know why it's a thing, and I can't stop it. Oh. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Yeah, Chrissy said, Birdie, go rub Aubrey's feet. Well, we are at about 2 hours, everybody. So thank you all for tuning in this evening. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central, I'll be back here in the Hive. Guys, please go and hit that like button. Like I said, you know, there is a little bit of an algorithmic game to trying to find more people like us who are like-minded that want to have a place to seek the truth. So if you guys could please do that, hit the subscribe button if you have not. If you didn't tune into the full live, I post a quick cut recap every morning, the following morning. So that'll be up tomorrow. Usually I try to get that posted before lunchtime. And it's like a 30-minute kind of highlight reel of the streams. So I had a wonderful evening with you all. I hope you all did as well. And I will see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central, right here. Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.